1, 2, 3, 4.
Good afternoon, everybody.
My name is Joseph Duff.
My name is Dimpna Duff.
Well, I'm Sister Theophane, and I've been enlisted here to come in and talk about the gap, I think, between the generations.
My name is Dennis Jordan. I'm a native of Thurles.
You know, is life better or worse? You know, depends on which way you look at it.
Yeah, I definitely would say that I have a relationship with older people. All my grandparents are alive, and I have like a really close relationship with my mother's mother. So I'd see her like a couple of times a week and spend time with her.
No, I've never known my grandparents, so I find it quite awkward to talk to the elderly.
I have 3 grandparents living, and yeah, I really like going to visit them.
Older people, because they're watching the news and they see that some 17-year-old has stabbed an 18-year-old, they just assume like, oh yeah, sure, like all the young people are like that. And I know that's a generalization that I think that they're generalizing, and it's getting complicated. But yeah, I do think that older people assume that younger people are quite wild.
I think sometimes teenagers can be portrayed unfairly. You know, it's all kind of like teenagers are vandals and all this kind of thing, or teenagers are bullies, or you know, they hurt older people. But I think that's only like a small percentage of them. A lot of teenagers are really kind of proactive and involved in the community.
Well, look, I'm old myself now, and I certainly don't encounter any disrespect down in school. I'm greeted with lovely smiles every morning. And when I say to them, "Good morning, how are you?" and "How are you, sister?" So I don't see any disrespect.
Yeah, my perception of old people really changed, and I think the elderly people that we spoke to in transition year, their opinion changed on us as well, because we found out that we get on really well, even though there's a big age gap. We actually had a lot of things in common, and we were interested to hear what the other person had to say.
Well, human nature doesn't change. So I guess teenagers were the same then, are the same now, will be the same. But of course, the opportunities and the facilities that were there then were very different.
It was easier, maybe not better. We were not financially as well off, but life was easier. We didn't expect as much as young people do today.
An exclusive teenage culture, to my mind, didn't develop until the 60s maybe, when teenagers had money and they had their own brand of music and they had their own brand of clothes.
I think our expectations weren't as high. We weren't always expecting thrills and spills.
We came from candlelight, then we had paraffin lamps, then we had gas lamps, and then we had electricity. And like in them days, when the electricity came, people were afraid to switch on the switch.
You see, I don't like to blame them because they've grown up in a time of plenty. You have never known a recession until now, you know, whereas in the past there were recessions all of the time, nearly every decade or every 20 years. And emigration was you'd think that was only now it was happening.
They spent more time together with friends and with their families and neighbours, whereas now we have like computers, we'd be on Facebook or that kind of thing. They didn't do the same things that we did.
They never had as much opportunity through all forms of communications. My granddaughters are texting while they're talking to me.
If you just take mobile phones, they're nearly like an extension to your arm now.
You make an arrangement to meet the person. If they don't turn up, they text you. It's marvellous.
I think as an elder person, I fear a lot of the communication system because I'm not good at it.
But you couldn't do it now. You couldn't get on without it now, you know. And if I was back at your age, I'd be into it too.
We talk to our friends through social media, you know.
You don't see them face to face.
Yeah, I never see my friends face to face.
But people are a lot more clued in now though as well. So it does have its drawbacks and disadvantages.
No door on my street was ever locked. You could walk from one house to the other, no doors locked.
People looked after each other in so many different ways. People knock at the door and ask for a cup of sugar, a sup of milk.
some paraffin, whatever the case may be, and that would lead to a social contact.
When a pig was killed in the olden days, there was a bit of bacon for everybody in the street or on the road. That went with what? With the introduction of fridges, because now you could preserve it. So it is amazing. Every advance brought a disadvantage. It must be very hard for you to imagine life without TV, life without discos, life without all the sport that you have nowadays. And yet somehow, I don't know how, but we were never bored. That seems to be a new word, whereas I hear an awful lot of young people now talking about they're bored.
Memory of going to the cinema, which was a big event, not like now. We had to save to get the money to go. And the cinema that I went to is now long since been knocked down.
When you were on your holidays in the summer, you played tennis, you went for long walks, you visited old people, you did messages for them.
As a teenager, it would be to go to the local shebeen of a dance hall.
They used to run serials which would run from one week to the next. So you'd go this week and you'd have to go next week to see what happened. So if you wanted to see the conclusion, you had to go. So it meant saving for the following week. And they used to have matinees which were dominated by young people.
The band was a couple of fellas who came in from the pub, and their payment for the music of the night was a crate of bottles of stout. And as the night progressed, they got a little more drunk and a little less musical.
Social life is different. Younger people going out much younger than my age. We wouldn't have gone dancing if we were 17, 18. They're now going at age 10. So it has changed dramatically.
A fun night out for me would be just hanging out with friends, going to see a movie, just walking around.
Hang out with my friends, play music with my friends.
Out in the town with a few friends, maybe going to a disco.
I'd probably just go out to the cinema with friends, my girlfriend, just have a nice time. I wouldn't consider going out to discos or anything fun, to be honest, because a lot of the people that I don't really get on with a lot of people that kind of go to discos, I feel quite different to them maybe.
I just don't understand it, to be honest with you. I'm from a different generation. When I was a teenager, nearly everybody was a pioneer. Do you know what a pioneer is? You take the pledge at your confirmation. You don't dream of breaking it. I still have that pledge.
Yeah, I just got my friends, pub, and then disco afterwards.
I just don't think you need alcohol or drugs or anything to have a good time. You just kind of have to let loose and just go mental.
I don't see myself going out drinking. I don't see the point in it.
When we were young, Céilís would have been something which we would have aspired to go to. I don't hear young people talk of Céilís that much anymore. That's Irish dancing. We used to go to Irish dancing club. Discos have put young people into a dark room with flashing lights. It doesn't appeal to me.
I mean, our nightclubs are the Céilís of their time, things have just changed the way that happens,
They value smaller things than we do now. We take them for granted.
You had to make sure it was home by 10.
10 o'clock. We went to dance on our bicycles, locked the bicycles outside, and we'd look at our watch, and we'd probably start at 8 o'clock or 7:30. We'd look at our watch and say, come on, better go. And we had to go home on a bike, and then we went up to Dipna's house, and we went into the sitting room. It was called the parlour, and Dipna's mother was inside, and sometimes she'd knock and she'd say, "Did I leave that window open?" And there'd be a separation forever. and then we had to go in. Then, come on, Rosie is ready. So we had to go in, kneel down, and say to Rosie.
All pubs used to have what's known as a snug, where the lady would have her drink in private. It was served through a hatch, and she didn't go into the main bar. Again, it's in a short space of time that has changed. Now in pubs, women nearly outnumber the men in pubs.
Since I grew up, it has been a male-dominated society in every aspect.
It was pretty sexist the way things were back there, whereas now, it's people don't really care anymore.
Back then, maybe girls wouldn't go on to be have big careers, or they wouldn't go to college, whereas now you kind of can.
The idea was that a woman did a job maybe sort of to occupy herself until she married and have children.
I think, I'm not referring to all men, but a lot of men don't want to think that a woman can do better than them or as equal as them.
Of course, marriage breakdown was, very, very rare in my days. Now, I'd like to be fair. Maybe it was because women hadn't the independence that they have nowadays. A lot of women now have careers, they're working, they're not dependent on the husband for money. Whereas when I was young, the husband was the breadwinner, the mother stayed at home and reared the family. And even if she were unhappy, she wouldn't have the independence to move out.
I have a number of friends whom their father died when they were young, and the difficulty that their mothers had rearing children because society didn't allow for a woman to actually run a career.
But I wouldn't be foolish enough to think that there weren't unhappy marriages, but the women felt maybe trapped in them because they hadn't any independence.
I think it's improved as an awful lot. I think it's made, there was one half of the entire population who were not allowed freedom. Money is freedom.
And it's still kind of thought that women are the ones who should be doing the work at home. So I think that there's still a certain amount of room for improvement in that way. But I think it has gotten a lot better, and I do think women are fairly equal with men at this stage.
We were kind of brought up with a very strict religious practice.
I couldn't imagine living in the 50s or the 60s when my only option would have been to get married or to join the convent. Neither of those would really appeal to me as much, I don't think.
Growing up in that era, I think religion left us with a lot of guilt. Religion, certainly, we were all practicing, and practiced very, very strenuously.
You could say that they didn't really get to be their own people or their own person because they were basically what their parents told them to be.
Well, as regards teaching religion, I've never felt any hostility. Never have I felt any hostility in the young people. But having said that, I look around at Mass on a Saturday evening or a Sunday, and apart from the young people, mainly now, apart from the young people over in the folk group, I say, where are all the young people?
The only reason why I'd go to Mass is because I sing and I'm with my friends, so if I wasn't involved, I wouldn't go at all.
If my parents weren't nagging me to get up out of bed in the morning to go to church, I'd probably be less likely to go.
My mum is quite a religious person, and I've gone to Mass for years upon years, but then I kind of do my own thinking, and I've sorted out for myself. I don't go to Mass anymore because I don't believe in it.
I go to Mass too, but I'm not overly religious. I do go though. My dad's religious too. So.
And I say, why aren't they coming? What are they getting out of staying away? When everything kind of is letting you down at the present time, it's nice if somebody who won't be my forever friend.
Although my dad is religious, my mum's not, but my dad is, so he makes me, say, a few Sundays a month, I'll have to go to Mass. But that's probably because I've never said it to him. I've never said I don't believe in God, Dad.
Most of my friends don't believe in God. They go to church if their parents make them, they do the school mass and everything, they've had their confirmation, but they don't believe. And I think that's really strange, that they're in a Catholic school and they have the whole ethos there, but it doesn't mean anything to them.
No, I'm not Catholic. I wasn't baptised. I'm strongly agnostic. I don't really believe in God. I have nothing against people that do.
I think the present Pope is too conservative, and the Church will never move forward why you have a conservative pope. You want a pope that's going to reform the church, that's going to allow married priests and women to take an active role.
In my school, my friend isn't religious, and even though in religion class it is primarily Catholic, because I'm a Catholic school, he is put to the back of the class, kind of just doing homework or whatever in religion class, because he's not Catholic. And that is, I know they can't exactly set up another classroom for him, for just him, but it is segregation when you think about it.
I think it doesn't matter what religion you are or where you come from. As you grow older, you can choose for yourself.
People should be entitled to make their own choices in life.
It mightn't come in under the title of a particular religion, but I think the young people today think about philosophy and their point of view to things, how they feel about things,
As we move on and the number of people believing in God falls drastically, I don't know why schools would have anything to do with religion, and I think they should just all be completely religion free.
We are an Irish country, a Catholic country. We should not be taking away our religious beliefs from schools. We are as we are. And I holiday overseas, and if I go to a Muslim country, it's their country, I do it their way. So I don't agree with the changes.
Most of the people, it's not only the Catholic Church people are leaving, they're leaving the Presbyterian, they're leaving the Protestant, the Jews are not going to church practicing either. They've all lost hope. So something has to come together to give the young people hope.
The strange thing is that we all stayed believing, or stayed practicing, at least externally anyway.
Everybody finds the spirit within themselves. It doesn't matter what creed, what church or what religion they have. You need something to focus on. You need to have hope in something. And you never told them that at the age of 60, I got you on horseback.
Yeah, I was horse riding at 60 years of age.
I left traditional music. A few years ago I started doing music lessons on the banjo, so I'm now learning the banjo. You're never too old to start.
Respect yourself. Respect others. Have a mind of your own. Don't be a sheep following the herd.
When you get married, you lose a certain amount of your individuality.
The women do.
But no.
Oh, the women do.
No.
No. And honestly, I don't feel a bit old. I feel as young as I did 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Be happy, be healthy, look after the elderly.
Be strong.
Be strong, be positive, be strong. And the thing about this, learn from the people of the past. You can't move to the future and forget about your past, because they're entwined.
A trip down memory lane for me, and it's probably an eye-opener, some of it, for you. Are we ready to turn off?